Sounds good.
All right, so Thad, we're looking at your sketches for McFeeney's Irish Snacks, which is sort of an Irish American cheese straw.
Yep.
And I can see that you read your creative brief, and these sketches reflect an understanding of the creative brief. So that's a huge plus. uh, so a couple things. So stuff that jumps out to me, the figures do quite a bit.
Yeah.
And you're quite good at sketching. I can see that. So this is pretty compelling just to have a greatly drawn, sophisticated figure.
Yeah.
It's Mr. McFeeney, right?
Yeah.
So I love this sort of as a foundation, and I think you've got a good sense of balance and design because you've created some other things too that are more word marks or emblems, which
Yeah.
is not really what we're looking for. We're looking for icon and logo type.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is you did a good job if you were going to
Yeah.
do that. Um, so so number 7 for sure. I think number 8 is slightly redundant with that, and it kind of makes me think of the Planters Peanut guy a little bit.
Yeah. With a monocle.
Yeah, so I'd steer toward number 7. The pot of gold. This is conceptually this is right on target with the product.
Yeah.
Visually, maybe because you got sort of a rainbow coming into it.
Yeah.
So you got to sort of figure out how to, maybe there's a containing shape for the whole thing because the rainbow can't just sort of trail off into space,
Right.
right? So given what you did up here in number 2, like number 6 could be great if it had a containing shape. And that could be that's number 2 of your 3 ideas.
Okay.
And you have some other options. Do you have one that you really like here that I didn't mention?
Yeah. I think, one of the things that I didn't like about 6 was just the idea of incorporating the rainbow colors,
Yeah,
because I'm a fan of keeping the palette simple and
sure.
and so I think that detracts a little bit from it, along with having the product, the actual cheese straws, although that's the only one of the icons that I came up with that actually contains cheese straws.
Yeah.
It's going to
Well,
be
I would say
lost.
rainbow optional.
Okay.
That would
And
be one
then
of the things you'd explore.
the top hat, I think, is scalable really well. It would be able to stick to a simple, refined, classy color palette with the
You're talking about number 10?
number 10. Yeah, sorry. With the
This,
bowler, I incorporated an M into that band, or the name of the McFeeney's in there. Was kind of what I was thinking of, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that could work. It's a little generic. These clovers are kind of interesting. This one in particular kind of has an interesting sort of heart shapes.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm
I,
hoping
if
to be able to incorporate an M into the middle of the clover, but I couldn't really make it work.
Yeah, I gotcha. I think number 10 can work at the bowler hat. You got to make it a little more unique than just putting an M on it. And I don't
Okay.
really know what that is. It could be made of cheese or, that's a
Ah,
terrible idea, but something to make it more unique. So you've got for sure number 7, number
right.
6 with or without the rainbow, and then either 10 or 5 based on, you can push the hat a little further to make it a little different.
Okay.
And that might
So,
work. But these are
all
good
right.
sketches.
All right. Well, I really appreciate it.
Sure. All right. Lakendra, you're here. I think you're in section 1. Let's see. Lakendra, what was your product? If you're using the chat, I'm not seeing the chat. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I'm actually doing swing set snacks.
Okay.
I'm just not finished typing my last sketch, and I'm gonna submit it right quick.
Okay. when you get that in, let me know and I'll take a look.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm just going to continue on with section 1 here. All right, William, Maritime Soap. These are very good, clear sketches, great thumbnails for ideas. The thing I would say about all of these is they're more just sort of visual exploration than real sort of icons. So, for instance, the old Salty Sailor is just, well, you could make that into a more interesting character if it had a little more personality. Then number 2, the Kraken. So what makes your Kraken different than all other Krakens? Is there soap involved in somehow? 3, Clipper and Rough Seas. Again, so this is kind of just an interesting visual, but I'm trying to relate it to the brand a little more. I mean, that's not to say it couldn't work. You'd probably have to put some sort of containing shape around this because you've got a whole landscape going on. An anchor is just an anchor. A flag is just a flag. The helmet. So these are all things that you'd want to, like, could you make them unique or special in some way to relate to your brand? This image is pretty compelling. The girl and the shark. It definitely gets your attention. It's sort of like a pinup pose. So given that this product is sort of aimed toward men, you know, blue collar and all that, that this has some appeal, but I would love for her to be more alert and maybe looking at the camera instead of, she looks like shark food right now. So if there was something more sort of like she's in control, or so bring that out a little more. And again, ship's wheel is just a ship's wheel. When you look at these things, it's great to draw them out and then look at these things and say, well, what could I do with that? What does it remind me of? It's almost like if you're looking at the clouds and seeing, oh, that looks like a dragon, or that looks like a baby, or, you know, you can sort of see, oh, I see something else going on there. And what could you add to make these unique? So from what I see here, unless you go for another round, I would say number 1 with a lot of personality, number 3 with a containing shape, sort of holding it together, and maybe number 7 if the girl is a little more sort of, I don't know, happy, winking at you, saying she's in control, she's not just shark food. So that's my feedback there. All right. Catherine, you're doing mint soap. It's sort of a Japanese-based beauty bar. I see one sort of, it looks a Harajuku girl. I think this has some potential for old and new mint leaf. I don't know. Yeah, sort of like rejuvenating. I get the concept there, but it comes across as just a leaf. So number 6. Number 6 is interesting too. So number 3, number 6, that's number 9. This could be interesting if you sort of develop it visually more. If it had, just try to infuse them all with more Japanese kind of thing. So if that could have more Japanesey kind of look, that would be good. But those are 3 ideas I would gravitate towards: 3, 6, and 9. But overall, good job on this. All right. Destiny, Brainiac Coffee. So just a note for everybody, what you're doing here is making a screenshot from InDesign. It's okay to do that, but you could turn off the guides. I think it's Command : I can't remember. But turn off the guides, go to View and hide guides. And also, the gray box in the background is the placeholder for your sketches. So you've actually sort of placed your sketches on top of the placeholder. If you place them in there and you turn the background to none, it'll look a lot better. All right, So now your ideas. Number one is coffee steam sort of forming a brain. Number two is a bag with that graduated college. It's kind of funny, except for I don't like the idea of the bag. Maybe if it was a coffee bean with a mortar board, that's what that's called. Three, their brain is a bean. I think that's the valid idea. For light bulb inside with a coffee cup inside, that's valid, makes sense with the brand. Here's a paper cup with a brain. Here's a cup inside a brain. Some of these are a bit redundant, especially number 11 and number 6 are essentially the same idea, but you just changed out the steam a little bit. So just giving you the wide view, I think number 2, if it wasn't a bag, would work. Number 3 works well. It's well drawn, good icon kind of there. And I think one of these 6 or 11 would work as well. So those are sort of your 3 ideas that I would go for. All right, Michelle is here. Michelle, let's take a look at your work. I think you're here somewhere. Michelle, can you hear me? There you are.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, all right. I'm glad we're connecting now.
I had myself muted.
That's all right. Good little
Yes,
tip
we
on
are. Good to see you.
little tip on Zoom. If you hold down the space bar when you're muted, it'll unmute you while you hold it down. You can lift it up. It's like doing a old-fashioned radio. All right. So peace cookies, the new age cookie, and full of love. 1, the earth in the shape of a heart. I love that. It just jumps out at me. It's a bit complex, but you know, how you execute it will sort of bring it together. I think that would work. Lotus flower is a lotus flower. So what would you do to make it a little more unique to your brand? That's what I would say. Peace symbol is sort of, it's almost,
some of these things.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, some of these things because you keep redundant with the pictures, of course. So some of these things I wanted to incorporate within each other, but I couldn't make it redundant. So I already have some ideas, and I'm just waiting to hear your ideas for which ones you think maybe I could implement together.
Right. So for instance,
Makes sense. Like the lotus flower on its own wouldn't make any sense.
Right. So which one would you incorporate with the lotus flower? What was your thought about what to do to change it up?
Oh.
You don't have to come up with something on the spot. I thought you had an idea. But...
yeah. No, I'm still brainstorming a lot.
All right. Okay.
So all of them.
So number 1 is a winner. You really need 3 ideas to go to the next step. So there's 1. The peace crane made of origami is great. I love that too. That's number 2. So you've got at least 2 ideas right there. The one thing I'd say, some of these are sort of like appropriated symbols, like the peace sign and the Chinese character for peace. Initials doesn't really feel, and this feels like old English. It doesn't really feel like your brand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I went with that because of the new age kind of conscience over the whole thing. But yeah, I agree. It was just another idea.
That's good. The dove. All right. So here's a thought for you. The dove, and I know drawing a dove is challenging, so no criticism there. But the dove,
Yes.
the dove and the lotus.
It's awful.
Well, the dove and the lotus seem to have some shape similarity. So when you kind of look at them, maybe there's some combination of dove and lotus that you could do. Does that spark you at all?
Okay. Yeah, nice.
So so maybe,
Yeah, that's
you
a
know,
great idea.
instead of just and so when you do this, what you would do is find a great photo of a dove and pen tool over it to sort of get the shape right, and then take a lotus flower and maybe pen
Yeah,
tool out some of the leaves, the petals, and use those as the wings of the dove.
great idea.
All
I
right,
love that idea.
so that's your third idea. So you've got 1, 2, which is 2 and 12, and number 4.
Hmm.
And the one thing I'd say, just presentation
Great.
wise, and this sort of goes for everybody, if you select these frames in InDesign that have the gray fill and change the fill to either none or paper, it'll get rid of those. It'll look a little neater. It's just sort of like you have all these different gray shapes.
Yeah, I did that. I did that on the, as you can see there below that, I did put the link to first 9 pages. So
Yes.
on that one, I did do, I've worked day and night on this.
Well, great. It's looking really good. These are some really creative fonts. I've used this font before. Memorum for a hair salon. So I turned it into hair.
Oh, nice. That's a good idea. Huh.
So you're looking really buttoned up.
See,
You've got,
on the pictures. Sorry, right
yes.
there. See, that's where I took out the gray behind it, but I forgot to take it out of the sketches.
Okay.
Sorry about
All
that.
right. All right. So that's, I'm letting you know because I'm letting everybody know because everyone has some issue with that. And then this is the kind of thing that you're going to be sort of curating and fixing throughout the month because you won't get graded on that part of it until, you know, the whole presentation at the end. So it's just a matter of constant improvement of the presentation template. And, you know, you'll customize it eventually. You'll get some color palette and you'll add color. So it'll just evolve as it goes through the month.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
You're
Thank
welcome
you.
to stick around. I'm going to keep going through everybody's work. So, and Lakendra, do you have anything yet?
I am going to.
Yes, I'm done now. It should be submitted.
Are you in this section or the other section? You must be. What's your product? You're really cutting out. I couldn't hear what you said.
Swing set snacks.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did say that earlier. All right, there they are. Look, swing set snacks. So this is for kids, 10 to 16. It's a bit of fun. It's popcorn. I'm really grateful you didn't give me 10 or 12 swing sets. So wacky fun face, and it kind of feels like the sun. That's probably appropriate for this brand. Bicycle wheel, picket fence, explosion, building blocks. You did some good creative thinking here, and you sort of embraced the brand. So I can see this is well done. Piece of popcorn on a swing set. Sun with the SS. Popcorn coming out of the rainbow. Schoolhouse, SS, candy SS, and what's number 12? Upside down swing with a mouth. All right, these are all fun, playful ideas. I'm trying to look at them visually and just sort of see which ones are going to make good logos. Number 1 is on your list. I think number 6 could be there. And I just love number 12 because it's so crazy, but you're going to have to figure out how to visualize that, draw
Yeah.
it out better. So to make that work. Otherwise, number 8 could work. But again, because of the rainbow, you don't really want to have it trailing off. You'd have to create some sort of containing shape for the overall image. So
Okay.
either 1, 6, 8, and 12. Those would be the 3 ideas I would go. Those are 4 ideas, but any 3 of those you could use. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Now, here, I'm just pointing this out again for everybody. First name, last name, that's your master page. You need to go into the master page and update that with your information. Where it says project name, you're going to put Swing Set Snacks. And then
Okay.
that'll update all the pages of your presentation.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, great. Back to the top, Lindsay. This sounds like a great list of ideas. We need to see your sketches. So give us some sketches and we'll let you know. All right, Juanita, Big Easy Cookies. These are cookies from New Orleans. So number 1 is a mask with a cookie hybrid. So that's good creative thinking because you're sort of taking an ordinary object and making it different related to your brand. That's dead on kind of thinking. Woman with an umbrella, which is kind of a New Orleans looking thing. Bourbon Street sign for umbrella party. Wow, I like this. I'm not sure that this becomes a logo, but I think you've got some fun creative thinking there. Horn blowing out all the great stuff. These cookies are just filled with all this bad for you kind of stuff. And that's visualizing it. Big Easy, the BE. I'm not such a fan of initials, but let's see. Number 7, a coconut ready to party. All right, Juanita, these are really creative, really great ideas. You've got some terrific thinking now. So when I look at these, I'm just going to go visually with which has the most impact. And I would just say that number 11, the pelican, number 7, the coconut. I do like number 4, but you'd have to figure out, this may be something that you use as a pattern or something later on in some of your other elements. This mask is a good idea, but it's a bit complex. If you could simplify it, that might be a 3rd idea. Here's the band. These are all really good. So your favorites are 1, 11, 12, 2 is a close behind. All right, I do like 2, but I'd steer you toward 1, 7, and 11. These characters have a lot of fun. Try to keep the details simple and to a minimum so that you don't have too much complexity when these get small. So when you bring these into Illustrator, you're going to want to figure out sort of the simplest version you need to have of these. But really good job on this. Good creative thinking. All right, Decoya, we talked a lot. Here they are. So you've got the cake plate, which I suggested maybe as a martini glass because these have liquor in them, these fudge bars. I think that could work. I like Granny. I think you've got a good character there that you could create. She's got some personality. I'm not sure kind of what some of these mean. So an apple. I'm not sure how an apple relates to this. Baker's hat. Yeah. So if you think about, all right, so the mason jar sort of wrapped up, that maybe has something to do with it. Glass jar. You know what? I would go with, I think that the secret thing could be good. Maybe it's Granny keeping the secret. So that could be sort of a variation of number 8, the martini glass, which is what we talked about. Let's see, what's number 5? Oh, Granny's secret in a swirl. Wasn't really seeing that, and I'm not sure initials really help you. This is sort of an anthropomorphized apron. I think you need to come up with a third idea that's related to this sort of like bootlegger, hidden secret booze and a candy idea. So you've got Granny, you've got the martini glass, maybe number 10. So that might be the 3, but I'd love for you to sort of push it a little more if you can. So you've made great progress from where you were, so good job on that. All right, Vincent. You are doing Shanghai cookies. These are super creative, very fun. You've read the creative brief, you understand it. The ones that jump out at me are the fist smashing the cookie. That's one. The dragon face is another one, because these are supposed to be kind of fun, irreverent. And then I did like number 10 with the Shanghai distinctive building, and the way you've done the cookie, it looks good. Usually I don't love cookies in there, but I think you've got many options. So, but my recommendation would be 1, 5, and 10. All right, Michaela, Stonehaven English toffee. So this is a very traditional sort of English toffee. Your sketches, so number 1 is the Union Jack, the English flag. Flags are not logos. They're logos for a country, and you can't just like take one and say, this is my logo. You could take a flag and do something interesting with it. A spoonful of toffee doesn't really communicate your brand. It's very literal. 3 is a castle tower. So now you're thinking a little more outside the box. But number 4 is a hill with a stone bridge. Perhaps you're creating sort of a landscape. You'd have to create a containing shape for it. 5 is melted toffee in a bowl. Again, it's very literal. I don't think that really conveys your brand. Picture of the product, it's not a logo. This is 2 toffee bars. So these are highly redundant. You need to come up with 12 unique ideas. Number 8, recreation of the Stonehaven War Memorial. All right, so this is sort of like a iconic building. You need to morph that into something that's unique for your brand. So again, this is sort of visual exploration. If you look and you say, well, there's this Donatar castle. What does it look like? Could it be something else? If you remember in the lecture, we had the paint the city. You know, I guarantee the way they came up with that, they drew a picture of a paint can and looked at it and said, you know, that looks kind of like a city down there. So as you draw these out, think about how you could morph these into different ideas. Clock tower. Clock tower by itself isn't really sort of an icon or a logo. 11 is a candy in a wrapper, and 12 is a candy in a wrapper. So these 2 are the same idea, which is really not an idea. It's just a picture of the product. So is number 6 and 7. 3, 4, and 9, all buildings, but maybe you could make them into something unique. Pouring toffee, it's not an idea for a logo. So you got some more work to do. Hopefully you can come up with some really inspiring ideas, but like not just if you just draw out a building, then you look at it and say, well, what else does it look like? Could it be something else? You know, be creative. All right, Brittany, Chunk Soap, which is blue collar soap for manly men. You haven't put this into the template properly. You're doing word marks almost exclusively, which is not what we want. We want logo icon and logo type as two separate elements. The sketch phase is really just drawing the icon. So you need to go back and reread the instructions for the assignment so you know what you're doing. The big arm is sort of in the vicinity of the brand, an idea, a couple of tools might be there. But again, and these are like very redundant as well. Bulldog named Chunk. I like that. There's an idea. Develop Chunk, develop the arm, and come up with 10 more ideas for icons that don't involve a bar of soap, because that's just your product. You want something symbolic. Just remember, if Apple did what you're doing, their logo would be a motherboard. So, all right. Thad, we talked to. Lakendra, all right. I'll go back here to William, yes. Catherine, yes. We did this one. Justin, all right. Justin, you're doing Olympic coffee. All right, don't try to incorporate the word into the icon. Just leave them separate. That will help you. So you've done some interesting research, and these sketches, I'll just sort of go visually. I love number 6. The way you work the letters in will come in later, but you know, this sort of like iconic figure in the negative space of Mount Olympus. And I would look at pictures of Mount Olympus so you sort of replicate the profile there. The lightning bolt in this motif with sort of coffee beans, it looks like. Is that what it says? Greek style art, yeah. That could be an icon for your product. And then you want to put this underneath. Let's see, number 4. All right. All right, so the reason I don't want you to incorporate the words into the icon is because it makes it difficult to work with, and you'll see that coming up. This is really interesting sort of pattern here, so there's something you could do with that. Maybe it's on the coffee cup, as you sort of indicated. So number 6, number 7, maybe number 4. Some of these are just sort of like interesting patterns, but they don't seem to relate. And the more sort of coffee cups you have, the less exciting it is. All right. Brandon, Big Red's Texas Chili. And this is what it looks like. All right. So you need to be able to put your 12 sketches into the presentation template. This is a chili that's freeze dried. You take it on camping trips and you use it to pretend that you're a real backwoods cowboy. So you've got a longhorn, a map of Texas, the word love with a heart and the map of Texas, a heart with the name of the product in it. 5 is, wait. 5 is a can of chili. So a can of chili isn't a logo, that's a package. A bowl. Let's see, what's cactus, I'm guessing, number 7. No, a fork with a red hot ribbon going through it. This is just a word with a star shape around it. Firecracker, lips biting pepper, a pepper on fire. Yes, Michelle?
I did not realize I was muted.
So now you're not
I
on
said
mute.
you
And
keep
you
spelling chili, and I thought I was muted.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute myself now so you can't hear my thoughts.
That's all right. You're
It's
welcome.
just, I was just saying he misspelled chili. I just didn't want that to happen.
Yes. So, all right. So don't use a map as a logo. A steerhead is just a steerhead. What it makes it yours special, right? you get the idea that it's supposed to be spicy, but you haven't gotten into the cowboy aspect of it and the camping and all that. So think about those aspects of it as well. Do not write the word out anywhere. Just do a drawing. You're trying to get an icon at this stage. And then some of these, like just generic shapes, like a chili pepper. So could it be a character? Could it be an interesting cowboy character? It could be a animal character. I would encourage you to take a look at the movie Rango and see what comes up. They did a great job in that movie, sort of creating personalities from animals. So something like that might give you some more inspiration. But right now, I don't really think you have a logo icon. And you need to be able to use InDesign sufficiently to put these in there and present them as they're supposed to be. You won't have to write out the numbers because they're already numbered in InDesign. So take another crack at it, and I'll be back on tomorrow so we can take a look then if you've got new work. All right, where was I? Kelby. All right, Green Mountain Maple Candy. This is maple candy made with mint. You clearly read your creative brief. You've got some New England stuff. You've got mint. You've got frosty stuff. Some are just generic shapes, like number 8 is a deer. Let's see. Now visually, number 1 jumps out at me. So number 1, mint leaf with maple syrup. So that's a logo. That's something you could use. All right, number 1. A maple leaf by itself, and suddenly you're in Canada. So you need to do something different with it. 3, the snow tip mountain. So these mountains look like the Himalayas, not Green Mountain, which is more like rolling hills. But you could do something with that landscape if you give it some unique feature. 4, this was like a waterfall. Waterfall is okay. What if the splashes were like mint leaves? Because it kind of looks like that. You'd have to sort of contain this all somehow, like pull it together. So try giving it a twist a bit. 5 is the tap. Is that what that is? A maple leaf bow. Visually, this is interesting, but I really can't tell what's going on there. All right, number 7, the cabin roof with the maple leaf. I think you got the idea with the mint and maple. Like, so combining mint and maple, maybe there would work. What's number 12? So this is just based off of old wallpaper design. All right, well, that's great inspiration. What if you turn that into mint and maple leaves, incorporate it into a motif like that? So then you'd have 1, 2, which is number 7, and 3, number 12. Many of these feel a bit generic. Let's see, number 9, a maple tree outline, but it also looks like a mint leaf. It's interesting if you can pull it off. I don't know if it's visually possible. But you have some options. You just sort of have to develop them a little more. The Vermont state flower by itself doesn't make an icon, really. And I don't think anyone would know that. Red clover is, unless you're from Vermont. All right, but you're off to a great start. Michelle, we're back to you. Justin,
Yes.
Boise beef jerky. All right, Justin, you sort of got the idea that this is, you know, kind of rough cowboy, and you went with this sort of motif of sort of a brand style. But I feel like these ideas are super redundant. Like 5, 6, 7, 8 are all like the same, just slight variations, the same idea. I do like them. I like number 1 and 2 because they're almost the same. This looks like the Krishna symbol, like not really, I guess it's sort of a steer head. I would like you to come up with some more ideas. I think that you've got one at least here. Here's Idaho. I usually hate maps, but the way you did it kind of is interesting. So potential. But see if you can come up with more of a character and maybe something without the letter B and without a steer to come up with a third idea. So you got like number 1 or 2 and maybe number 10. This kind of looks like an alien. Your sketches are good. They're clear. They're presented well. You're in good shape. But just to get there creatively, I would say, see if you can jump out of the box that you're in with the letter B and steerheads and get somewhere else. And I think you'll be better off. All right. I think I've critiqued everybody. Yes. All right. I'm going to stop the recording.